I have a confession to make, Inspector.
Oh? What kind of confession?
Concerning the exact truth as to what happened to my friend, Dr. Watson.
Why? He was kidnapped, wasn't he?
He was.
Well, what more is there to say on the matter?
Watson was kidnapped, there's no doubt about that. Except, the truth is, he was kidnapped by me.
What?
Please do not judge me for what I did. I had to do it for his own protection.
But why on earth would you do it?
To get ahead of Moriarty's game, of course. Dr. Watson being my dearest friend at the time, Moriarty could have done something to him which would have made me weak. I thought that perhaps if I staged a kidnapping and hid Watson away, then he could not have been brought to any harm. It was a huge chance I had to take, of course. Allow me to fully explain what happened on that night. I remember sitting in my car outside Watson's London home for a good hour and a half, processing my plan in my mind, asking myself if this was the right thing to do. I knew that before Watson goes to sleep that he has a cup of tea and reads his book in bed, and that night his wife Mary was on a business trip to Cardiff. It seemed like the perfect moment.
Sixth Street, Dr. John Watson speaking.
Dr. Watson, it's Susan.
Susan?
You've got to help me, Doctor, please.
What's the matter? Why are you crying?
They've taken him away. He's gone.
Okay, just calm down, What is the matter?
They've dragged my husband down into a cannabis den. I don't know what to do. Oh, please help me, Dr. Watson.
Where's this den?
It's opposite the factory on Perk Road.
Okay, calm down, Susan. Just stay still. I will be there immediately. I don't have time to explain. I need to meet you at the cannabis factory. I'll meet you in the West End.
I dragged Watson away. I put him in the boot of my car and drove. I remembered a place from a previous case, the first case I had from Violet Smith in fact. There was a closed-down youth club in Farnham. It had slight fire damage, so was closed to the public, but had amenities which were suitable for someone to live there. It was the perfect hiding place that nobody would think of.
I understand how you must be feeling, Shirley, but I simply cannot allow you to carry out an investigation on your own friend. It's against Scotland Yard rules.
And yet I am not a police detective. I'm not even employed by Scotland Yard. Of course, in the back of my mind I thought Moriarty's men would have been watching, and I also had to convince my brother Mycroft that Watson was certainly kidnapped by someone, so I had to stage another stunt. This was during a case I had in the city of York, investigating the missing husband of Mrs. St. Clair.
Neville?
Before I left for York, I planted Watson's mobile phone in a random house on Potter Lane. I set a timer on it to ring me at a specific time. When it did, I had to act like it was a lead to Watson's whereabouts, asking my brother Mycroft to trace the call to its location and going to investigate the house.
Never mind about me, just trace back the call that I just previously had. Trace it back to its location quick.
When I did go to the house on Potter Lane where Watson's phone was planted, I made a discovery. After almost being caught out by the house's owner, I found a ringing phone. On display, the caller ID was Moriarty. I answered the call, but on the other end was nothing, just silence. Here I concluded that Moriarty's men were, in fact, watching me. Some weeks later I left for Paris, an experiment to see if I would be followed overseas. Whilst I was there, I was carefully planning a way of getting Watson out of his current hiding place and to escape out of the country. When I returned back to London, that's when I met you. Together we began to investigate the case of Maria Gibson. The first night you slept at Baker Street, I sneaked out and drove to the youth club in Farnham.
It's me.
Long time no see, Sherlock. 3 months, Holmes. 3 months. When are you going to let me go?
I had to do what I did, Watson. You know why. I did just that Moriarty tends to kill you, or use you as a weapon. You being here means that everything will be safe on the outer world. If we are to stop Moriarty from whatever his plan is, then I need you out of the way, Watson. It's the safest place you'll be. I've lost many people in the past, I'm not going to lose you too.
We talked for a while. I explained my plans and what we would do, where he would go, when Mary, his wife, would be joining him, but then...
Holmes, do we know if he was followed here?
Not that I can recall. Follow me.
There's not worth robbing in love, is there? I'm only looking. I'll get this in to Jim. There's a few words that'll be worth a few bob or two.
Watson, come on.
So, Watson is alive?
Yes. The men that we assumed followed me there were just a couple of common burglars. The youth club after that would have been investigated by police, so I got Watson out of there immediately. He was on the next flight to America.
Well, I wasn't expecting this. All this time you knew what actually happened, yet you pass it off as though you didn't.
Well, I'm quite the actor, wouldn't you agree?
You certainly fooled me. Blimey.
I did what I thought was right. I couldn't risk anyone knowing. I mean, you could have been reporting back to my brother Mycroft for all I knew. I couldn't possibly have told you. Not so early on. We had only just met.
I know, I understand.
His wife, Mary, she hadn't a clue it was an inside job.
You put her through the pain of thinking that he was actually kidnapped.
Well, why, I had to, Inspector. Otherwise she would have given the whole thing away. But she knows now, of course. Once the media had toned down a bit, I told her the whole truth and sent her over to America under a false identity to be with him. I couldn't also risk someone following her and finding it out.
Well, still, it was a silly thing to do.
But worth it. Watson is safe. He's with his wife and are happily getting along with life. Surely that's the only thing that matters.
I guess it is. As long as you promise not to snatch me or hide me away.
Why, of course I wouldn't. You mean nothing to me.
Oh, charming.
A joke, Inspector. Could you not recognize from the toning of my voice?
It's tricky to tell with you, Sherlock.
Elementary.
Whereabouts in America is he hiding?
Oh, I could not possibly say. This line may not be secure to tell you his exact location.
Very well. Is that the chimes of Big Ben I hear?
I believe it is.
Christmas Day?
Yeah.
Then I suppose I should wish you a Merry Christmas.
And a Merry Christmas to you too, Inspector.
What is the meaning of it, Watson? What is this circle of misery and violence and fear? It must have a purpose. Or our universe is unmeaningful and that is unthinkable. But what purpose? That is humanity's greatest problem. To which reason so far has no answer.